you ever wondered why you stay in a relationship that's slowly wearing you down? You know you're unhappy. You feel your energy drain every time you're around them. Deep down, you know they won't change. And yet, you stay. You've tried to leave. You've told yourself that next time will be different. But something keeps pulling you back. Why? Why isn't the pain enough to make you walk away? The answer isn't in the other person. It's not because they've manipulated you so well that you've lost the ability to decide for yourself. It's not because you love them so much that you can't live without them. It's not even because things were once good and might be good again. The truth is that the real trap lies in what this relationship has stirred inside you, in what it has reinforced, in what it has reawakened. Toxic relationships aren't just about the arguments, the lies, or the manipulation. They're about the unconscious patterns they activate. Old wounds that never healed, the fear of being alone, the need to feel validated, the vicious loop of confusion, followed by bursts of hope. You're not just stuck with the person you're stuck with, what this relationship makes you feel. That's why simply ending it often isn't enough, even if you manage to leave physically. Something inside you keeps going back, remembering the good moments, excusing the bad ones, wondering if maybe you should give it one more try, because the problem was never just the relationship itself. It's the psychological bond that was built. A bond so strong, it changes how you see reality. It makes you accept things you once swore you never would. This isn't about making you feel guilty or about calling you weak. It's the opposite. I want to help you see what's really happening so you can take back control. And control is the only way to truly leave. So if any part of you feels trapped, unable to walk away even though you know you should, keep watching. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why the cycle repeats and, more importantly, how to break it. So why is it that some people fall into toxic relationships again and again, while others walk away for good? The answer lies in how we learn to love. Love doesn't just happen. It's shaped and conditioned over time. And to understand why you're so attached to someone who hurts you, we need to talk about something fundamental: attachment. From the moment we're born, we seek connection. As children, our brains link safety and comfort to the way we receive love and care. If we grow up in an environment where affection is consistent and healthy, we learn that relationships are safe and dependable. But if love comes mixed with rejection, neglect, inconsistency, or even abuse, our minds learn a different lesson: that love is unstable, unpredictable, something you have to fight to earn. Here's where the danger starts. If you grew up in a world where love and pain came together, your brain has wired that pattern deep inside. So when you meet someone who treats you well all the time, it can feel strange, even boring. But when someone gives you affection in bursts, loving you one moment, ignoring you the next, your mind recognizes the rhythm. That mix of hope and uncertainty feels familiar, and your brain mistakes it for love. That's the emotional trap. You're not just in love with them, you're attached to what they represent. They awaken something old inside you. The need to prove, just one more time, that you're enough, that love will win, that rejection will finally turn into acceptance. And this leads to one of the biggest reasons it's so hard to walk away: the fear of loss. When your attachment is built on uncertainty, the idea of losing that person becomes unbearable. Not because you can't live without them, but because it feels like leaving means giving up on the story, the belief that if you just try harder, you'll finally get the ending you've been chasing. But here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything. This isn't a test of your worth. The problem isn't you. And the solution isn't the other person either. The first step to breaking the trap is to see it for what it is. So, if attachment creates the trap, what keeps you locked inside it? The answer is a powerful psychological mechanism that works just like an addiction. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's one of the most dangerous dynamics in a toxic relationship. Think about it. No matter how painful the relationship is, there are those rare moments when everything feels perfect. They suddenly become exactly who you want them to be. It feels like maybe at this time, things will finally change. You cling to those moments, replay them in your mind, telling yourself that this is who they really are and that the rest is just something to get through. But this isn't love. It's addiction. In the 20th century, researcher B.F. Skinner discovered that the most powerful way to keep an animal hooked on a behavior was to reward it unpredictably. In his experiments, rats that got food only sometimes when they pressed a lever became obsessed. They pressed it over and over, desperate for the next reward. Replace the rats with people and the lever with your relationship, and you can see the pattern. If they were cruel all the time, leaving would be easy. But those scattered moments of affection keep you hooked, always chasing the next good moment. And here's the worst part. It trains you to accept less and less. At the beginning, you expected respect, effort, commitment. But after enough highs and lows, your standards shift. You settle for crumbs, just to feel that rush of warmth again. You tell yourself that if you just hold on, if you just fix yourself in the right way, they'll go back to who they were at the start. That's the trap. This was never about love. It's about control. And the person holding that control doesn't have to give you affection all the time. They just have to give you enough to keep you from leaving. And that's why leaving hurts so much. It's not just losing the person. It's losing the hope that one day they'll change. Accepting that is painful, but it's necessary. Because as long as you keep playing this game, you'll lose sight of who you are, of what you deserve. You'll be trained to expect less, until you no longer recognize yourself. And to make matters worse, many toxic people convince you that the problem is you, that you're overreacting, imagining things, even losing your mind. If you've ever asked yourself, "Am I crazy? Am I the problem?" then you've already felt the effects of one of the most destructive forms of manipulation: gaslighting. Gaslighting twists your perception of reality until you no longer trust your own thoughts or memories. It's designed to keep you in a constant state of doubt. Maybe you notice a lie, a contradiction, a strange behavior, and you bring it up. But instead of owning up, they turn it around on you. They tell you you're imagining things, that you're too sensitive, that it never happened. Over time, you start to believe them. You second-guess yourself. You search for proof that your feelings are valid. But the more you doubt yourself, the more you rely on them to tell you what's real. Gaslighting is just one tool. Another is projection, blaming you for the very things they're guilty of. If they lie, they call you dishonest. If they cheat, they accuse you of betrayal. If they're aggressive, they say you're provoking them. And after enough of this, you start to carry guilt that was never yours to begin with. These tactics are designed to wear you down emotionally. When your self-esteem is shattered, even the smallest scrap of affection feels like a gift. When your reality is twisted, you stop trusting yourself and you start trusting them instead. But that leads us to an even bigger question. If you can see the damage, why is it still so hard to leave? The answer lies in one of the deepest forces holding people in toxic relationships: the fear of being alone, and the illusion that love can change someone. Have you ever told yourself, what if I never meet anyone else? What if no one ever loves me again? Have you convinced yourself that if you just tried a little harder, had a bit more patience, or changed something about yourself, maybe the relationship would finally work? If you have, you're not alone. These thoughts are two of the strongest forces keeping people stuck: the fear of loneliness and the illusion of change. The fear of loneliness runs deep. From childhood, we're taught that being alone is something to avoid at all costs. Society reinforces it everywhere: movies, songs, social media, all sending the same message. You're not complete unless you're with someone. Being single is painted as failure. Now, combine that fear with a relationship that's already crushed your self-esteem. A relationship where you've been told, directly or indirectly, that no one else will love you the way this person does, that no one else will understand you, that leaving would be a mistake. Before long, you convince yourself that it's better to endure the bad than risk being alone. But here's the truth. What you're feeling isn't really fear of loneliness. It's emotional withdrawal. Toxic relationships create dependency, just like an addiction. You're not just attached to the person, you're hooked on the hope. You remember how they were at the beginning, when everything seemed perfect. You believe that if you just hold on a little longer, that version of them will come back. You rationalize the bad moments, calling them temporary rough patches. You cling to their sweet words, their occasional promises. But none of this is love. It's the illusion of change. And real change doesn't happen because you love harder or sacrifice more. It only happens when the person truly sees the problem and has the genuine desire to fix it. So ask yourself, how many times have they promised to change? How many times have they made excuses? How many times have you told yourself, this time will be different, only to end up back in the same place if nothing changes? It's because the relationship was never built to change. Accepting that hurts. It hurts because it means letting go of hope. It means facing the emptiness left behind by something that's consumed so much of your life. It means admitting you invested time, energy, and love into something that never had a future. But here's the difference. This pain is temporary. The pain of staying is permanent. Leaving isn't just a decision. It's a process. If it were as simple as deciding, you would have done it already. To truly leave, you have to break the emotional bond, reprogram your mind, and rebuild your identity. That's where emotional detox comes in. Because when you're this entangled, leaving is like quitting a drug. Every small dose of affection was a hit. Every glimpse of hope was another fix. Now, you have to cut the cycle for good. Step 1. The total break, no contact. No messages, no calls, no let's be friends. Any contact reactivates the bond and pulls you right back into the confusion. You might think, but what if they've changed? What if they realize what they lost? If they were capable of real change, they would have shown it already. And if they truly valued you, they never would have taken you to this point in the first place. Maybe you think you need closure. But closure isn't an answer. It's often just one last excuse to stay connected. You already know what you need to know. So cut it. Block them. Remove them from social media. Don't accept crumbs. And prepare yourself, because once you do this, the withdrawal will hit. Step 2. Endure the withdrawal without relapsing. In the first days, you'll feel an emptiness. Your brain has been wired to seek them out to feel whole. Their absence feels unbearable. But that's not longing. It's withdrawal. Your brain will try to trick you into going back. You'll remember only the good moments. You'll forget the pain. You'll think, maybe I overreacted. This is when you replace the old pattern with something new. Fill the space with routine. Exercise. Read. Spend time with people who actually make you feel valued. And whatever you do, don't romanticize the past. Make a list of everything they did to hurt you, and keep it close. Read it every time you feel tempted to reach out. Step 3. Rebuild your identity. Toxic relationships erode self-esteem. They condition you to see yourself through their eyes, to believe you're not enough, that you need to change to be accepted. Now, you have to reprogram that narrative. Ask yourself, who were you before this relationship? What did you love? What dreams did you have? What parts of yourself did you give up to keep this going? Recovery means rediscovering yourself, your voice, your autonomy, your desires. You don't need someone else to be whole. That belief was planted by a world that profits from your insecurity. The only love that truly heals is self-love. And that's where the real liberation begins, when you finally choose yourself. There comes a point where you have to decide, do I keep destroying myself for a love that was never real? Or do I choose me? At that point, it doesn't matter what they feel. It doesn't matter what they promised. It doesn't matter how many times they swore they would change. The only thing that matters is what you're willing to accept for your life. Even now, you might hear that inner voice saying, what if it's different this time? What if I'm overreacting? What if I never find someone else? That voice isn't yours. It was planted there, reinforced every time you accepted less than you deserved, strengthened by every cycle of manipulation that broke your confidence. But now, you see it. Now you have a choice. No one is coming to save you. No miracle is going to break the cycle. Either you take the first step now, or you keep repeating it until there's nothing left of you, because that's where this path leads total exhaustion. A loss of self so deep that you forget who you are, what you like, and what you want. You become a background character in your own life, and by the time you realize it, it might be too late. So stop, leave, break the cycle, rebuild yourself. It won't be easy. The first days will be brutal. You'll miss them. You'll want to go back. You'll doubt your decision. But slowly, the fog will lift. Your mind will clear. You'll see that it was never love. You'll remember who you were before. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll wake up and feel it. You're finally free. And when that day comes, it won't be because someone rescued you. It won't be because they finally gave you what you'd been waiting for. It will be because you decided you were worth more than the pain. But to get there, you have to take that first step now before another week, another month, another year slips by in the same exhausting cycle. Because every day you stay, the bond grows stronger. Every time you accept less, your standards sink lower. Every time you forgive without real change, you teach them that their behavior has no consequences. Here's the truth. People rarely rise to the level you hope for. They sink to the level you allow. And if you keep allowing the same patterns, they have no reason to stop. So start by closing every door that leads back to them. Delete the messages, block the numbers, remove the reminders. The more access they have, the easier it is for them to pull you back in with the same promises, the same sweet words, the same moments of warmth they know you crave. This isn't being cold, it's being free. Next, replace the space they leave behind with things that actually strengthen you. Build a life so full of purpose, self-respect, and self-love that there's no room for someone who feeds on your insecurities. Surround yourself with people who don't just make you feel wanted when it's convenient for them, but who make you feel valued simply for existing. And here's something you need to hear. Healing doesn't mean you'll never think of them again. It means that when you do, you no longer feel that pull to go back. It means their memory becomes a lesson, not a temptation. It means you can look at the past without wanting to reopen it. You'll also need to learn how to set boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. Boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They're filters to keep the wrong kind of love from poisoning you again. That means no more tolerating disrespect under the excuse of passion. No more accepting inconsistency as a sign of depth. No more giving someone the power to decide your worth. And when that voice in your head whispers, maybe it wasn't that bad, or maybe I overreacted, remember this if it were truly good. You wouldn't be here right now, searching for the courage to leave. The life you want doesn't exist in the past. It doesn't live in the maybe of someone else changing. It starts the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than their presence. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you've stopped loving them. It means you've started loving you more. It means you've finally understood that love without respect isn't love at all. That a relationship without safety isn't a relationship, it's a trap. One day, you'll look back and see this moment for what it really is. Not the end of a love story, but the beginning of your freedom. The moment you stopped waiting to be chosen and started choosing yourself. And when that day comes, you won't just be free from them, you'll be free from the version of yourself who thought you needed them to feel whole. Now, I want you to think about one thing. Which part of what you've heard today hit you the hardest? Which truth made you stop and really look at your situation differently? Share it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to finally take their first step. And don't stop here if you've made it this far. The next video is crucial for you. It's going to show you exactly how to protect yourself from ever falling back into the same cycle again. Trust me, you can't afford to miss it.